What's up guys, this is Pendant, and in this video we're going to go over a few different ways on how you can use your C4 creatively and effectively. We're going to go over a few examples of not only where to use your C4 but also how. So in our first clip we're going to be on Border, and this is going to be the perfect example, or rather the perfect place to practice your map knowledge and your sound cues. So if you played Border before, you know that to the left of this window is the approach from a spawn point leading to a very high traffic area. And because I know this about the map, that means that I can safely position myself and prepare that C4 in advance. And for this particular C4, you can either wait for the sound cues, the approaching footsteps, or you can use the actual round timer. A good rule of thumb is that it typically takes the attackers 5 to 8 seconds to actually leave their spawn, depending on the actual speed of the character. So here's an example where we would use the C4 as basically a countermeasure that prevents them from even entering the site. So we know that through this rotate ahead of me, this is the window that leads right into the site. And because we can expect an attacker to be here, that means we can either prep the window above or use our map knowledge and shoot it out in the heat of the moment. Now moving on, this is the perfect example of getting creative with your C4s. So above me through this door, there's a staircase that leads to the building, and the attackers only have one of two ways to approach this door. You can either rappel up or go on that staircase. So that's why we manipulate the map in such a way that we can get a trajectory that gets this staircase, which is otherwise inaccessible. I also made sure that the barricade was only busted at the bottom, so not only will they not see this upon the approach, they'll only be expecting you to be holding an angle below. They're not going to expect the C4 whatsoever. This is also a really good time to say props to Ubisoft for actually adding the trajectory line. I really like that new feature. So for the rest of the video, let's go ahead and demonstrate some of these on different maps. So here we are on Cafe. This is in the kitchen site. You'll notice that I made holes above the reinforcement in the freezer there. I like to do that so that I can hear the barricade being broken in the back a little easier, or you can actually just toss the C4 over that wall instead if you know that they actually successfully push through. It's always good when you're doing these kind of things just to make sure that you're as efficient and as versatile as you can possibly be. So let's move on to a different map and basically hit an inaccessible area with the C4 once again. So on Coastline, there's a position where a lot of people will sit outside of the site door or the window. It's basically inaccessible unless you jump out of the building, thus exposing yourself to basically the entire team. We can avoid that and actually affect this position by going below and opening up the fort and creating an entirely new and unexpected trajectory with that C4. And another example, if you're playing Pulse and you know that they're actually on the front side instead of by the couches, you can just throw it through that main door area instead. And just to show you, like, the throw itself is very far, but the actual radius of the explosion is pretty significant as well. In this clip, we're going to be basically taking on a very difficult position to contest. Besides just taking a head-on gunfight, usually there's not much that you can do when someone is actually on that door. So instead of going all the way upstairs, all the way to the front door, you can actually just go to the bathroom, make that little lineup, and then throw your C4 directly out there. It's all about just really knowing what you can and can't do in any given situation, and to also really communicate with your team effectively. Because for example, if my teammate knew that someone was on the drone hole in the bathroom, I wouldn't be able to perform that trick safely. So let's move on to another situation where we're going to combine our map knowledge and sound cues. This is also a lineup that I would never hesitate to use if I know that they're going to run like a really aggressive shield player, for example. And as you'll see for this one, I know that it's a common spawn point, I know it's a common approach, and I know that those beams ahead make it really difficult to throw one otherwise, so that's why utilizing the environment, manipulating it in such a way that you can kind of thread the needle and get a C4 to an unexpected position is really important. And practicing these types of things, like making sure that you know exactly where a C4 can and can't travel through. So always use the trajectory line. Load into a custom game and just like practice things, test things out, like get a deeper understanding of the game itself. You can always improve. Like yes, there's defaults and there's things that are expected every single round, but it's always okay to think outside of the box and try things differently. But anyways, I'm going to close things out here. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope it inspires you to actually try things a little differently, like I said. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. Go ahead and subscribe and keep your eyes out because something very, very interesting is on its way, as you can see. Take care. See you next time.